This train's going to be a big iron coffin.
Today's news tonight. Many truly strange things happening around the world. We're here to show you firsthand. Facebook launches I'm Safe button for gingers in the heat wave. Chief reporter. A spokesperson for Facebook has announced that an I'm Safe button has been launched for ginger people during the hot weather in the United Kingdom. According to Facebook's head of user safety Melanie Carrot, the feature will have rolled out to all relevant ginger-haired users by the end of June 2017. She said, "It's scientifically proven that ginger people are incredibly vulnerable to sunburn, and so naturally in the current hot conditions in Britain friends and family are going to be very concerned for their loved ones. Therefore, our new algorithm will be able to detect profile pictures where the hair color is brighter than auburn but darker than Basildon peroxide. These are the people who fall into the spectrum of redhead danger according to our researchers." Essex-based ginger Samuel Tuff told our chief reporter that the development was amazing news after his family witnessed him turning into an Oompa Loompa during a particularly hot spell in 2013. He added, "In one day alone I must have received 150 messages from people concerned that I was sunburnt. Even when I took a picture to prove that I was okay, everyone scrolled past it as they were mortified and apparently it put some of them off their dinner." According to a source within Facebook, gingers will be given 48 hours to respond after the point where daytime temperatures hit 30 degrees Celsius. If this period elapses without so much as an emoji, an ambulance will be dispatched to their home address with a tub of Nivea. She added, "Naturally anything they post on Facebook Live will be ignored, everybody watches that shite except us." In local news, Calgary man slices off penis after attaching razor blade to fidget spinner. A 23-year-old Calgary man is recovering in hospital after an accident involving a modified fidget spinner went horribly wrong. According to reports by local media, the man had attached the razor blade to the device before the accident occurred. His distraught mother spoke to reporters while doctors tried in vain to reattach her son's severed penis. "He ordered a few fidget spinners online a couple months ago," she said. "I had no idea that they could be so dangerous, other I wouldn't have let him play with them." The man's mother told of her shock at hearing her son cry out in pain late at night from his room in the basement of their bonus residence. "I rushed downstairs immediately fearing that he was being attacked by an intruder. I wasn't prepared for the sense." The woman described how she entered her son's room to see blood spattered all over the walls. "I stood frozen in shock, and my son looked up at me with fear in his face. I looked down and saw him clutching his groin. There was so much blood." The woman rushed her son to the emergency department with his penis in an ice-filled bag. Along the way I demanded to know what he'd done, but I already had a suspicion it involved fidget spinner because he's become obsessed with them, said the woman. He admitted that he'd taken my husband's straight razor and attached it to a spinner, because he said he wanted to make a battle spinner. But I've got no idea why he spun it so close to his genitals. The man later told surgeons that he wanted to see if the fidget spinner could shave off his pubic hair, but he'd fumbled with and it sliced off his penis. Unfortunately, the trauma caused by the razor was too much for us to successfully reattach it, said a surgeon who operated on the injured man. The device must have been spinning at a very high RPM, as the damage caused to his penis was horrific. Authorities are warning all fidget spinner owners across Canada to exercise caution when using them following a spate of recent injuries linked to the toys. Many schools have banned students from bringing spinners to class, particularly certain types of spinners containing batteries that could be swallowed. We urge the public to be careful with these toys, said one public safety expert. Even without this latest case in Calgary, there have been a number of close calls with children swallowing parts of spinners. Under no circumstances should you let your children modify their spinners or disassemble them. And all the way in the great United States of America. Des Moines woman suffers frostbite after getting frozen turd stuck in her vagina. A 47-year-old Des Moines woman is recovering in hospital after suffering severe frostbite after a sexual game went horribly wrong. According to reports by local media, the woman and her partner were trying out a practice known as an Alaskan pipeline, which involves freezing a length of feces inside a condom and then using it for sexual pleasure. According to Urban Dictionary, an Alaskan pipeline would typically be inserted in a participant's anus, but in this case Des Moines woman opted to place it inside her vagina. Due to the extreme cold nature of the frozen feces, it is believed that the soft tissue inside her vagina became affixed to the latex of the condom, preventing her from pulling it out herself. The woman's partner rushed her to a clinic where it had to be surgically removed. The damage to the woman's vagina is extensive, and she is now suffering from frostbite, said one of the doctors who treated her. Under no circumstances should anyone ever place a frozen object inside the genitals, particularly not a frozen condom filled with feces. The woman's partner spoke to the media to share their story in the hope it will serve as a warning to other couples who want to try and experiment with the unusual sexual practice. We read about the Alaskan pipeline online a few months ago, and it became something of an in-joke between us, he said. However, the weather getting hot lately, my girlfriend said to me it might be something fun we could do to cool down. The man explained that he was reluctant at first, because it seemed kinda gross, but he relented after his girlfriend kept pestering him. It was pretty difficult to get the turd into the condom, he said, but once it was in we just popped it in the freezer overnight and the next morning it was as hard as a rock. Authorities have warned people not to attempt an Alaskan pipeline or any other dangerous practice that they read about online. We know there's a lot of sick and depraved material available on the internet, said one Des Moines official. We would urge anyone considering such acts to think about the risks before they try them at home. Morgue employee cremated by mistake while taking a nap. Beaumont, Texas. An employee of the Jefferson County Morgue died this morning, after being accidentally cremated by one of his co-workers. According to the Beaumont Police Department, 48-year-old Henri Paul Johnson decided to take a nap on a stretcher after working for 16 hours straight. While he was sleeping, another employee mistook him for the corpse of a 52-year-old car accident victim and carried him to the crematory. Before anyone could notice the mistake, he had already been exposed to temperatures ranging between 1400 to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit and reduced to ashes. Jenna Davis, one of Henri Johnson's co-workers, says she heard him scream for about 15 seconds after the crematory was activated. At first, we didn't understand where the sound was coming from. When we realized what was happening, it was too late. We shut down the heating system, but he was already dead. MS. Davis claims that the young co-worker who caused the accident was a new employee, and had forgotten to check for the toe tag to make sure he had the right body. The police has opened an investigation to determine the exact circumstances surrounding Mr. Johnson's death. Investigators have not ruled out the possibility of filing criminal charges against the employee who caused his death. The young man could possibly be accused of criminal negligence causing death. This next one is coming to you straight from our animal team, hot off the press. Woman arrested for training squirrels to attack her ex-boyfriend. 45-year-old Janice Smith was arrested this morning by officers of the Detroit Police Department, for allegedly capturing numerous squirrels and training them to attack her former lover. The victim, 51-year-old James Robinson, was presumably attacked by the rodents on more than a dozen occasions over the last month. These attacks caused him many serious injuries, including the loss of 2 fingers and 1 testicle, bitten off by his attackers. The poor man had no idea why squirrels kept attacking him until he saw his ex-girlfriend, a former circus animal trainer, cheering the animals during one of the attacks. She was partially hidden behind some bushes, but I could clearly see her and hear her. She was yelling orders at the squirrels and telling them to attack me. Realizing that his life could be in danger, Mr. Robinson filed a complaint to the police, who paid a visit to Ms. Smith. In her residence, they found a dozen cages, holding a total of 27 squirrels. They also found 2 training dummies with pictures of Mr. Robinson taped over their faces. Detroit Police Chief James Craig confirmed that Janice Smith had admitted that she was responsible for the attacks and confessed her strange plot. Ms. Smith confessed to capturing and training squirrels to harass and attack her ex-boyfriend. She used to train lions for a circus, so it was easy for her to make the animals do as she wanted. She said she hoped to raise an army of up to 50 or 100 animals. The 45-year-old woman is now facing a variety of criminal charges linked to criminal harassment and using animals as weapons. DPD Chief James Craig admitted this morning in a press conference that this case was probably the strangest that he'd seen in his career. Janice Smith's lawyers have demanded for her to undergo a psychological evaluation, claiming that she was unfit to stand trial. They say that her choice of training squirrels instead of dogs or bears suggests that she might be suffering from mental problems. If she is judged fit to stand trial, Ms. Smith will be facing a maximum of 65 years in prison. World news at 5 o'clock somewhere. Argentina, one 28-year-old man claims he is Adolf Hitler. An elderly man from Salta in Argentina claims that he's the infamous German dictator Adolf Hitler and that he spent the last 70 years in hiding. In an interview with the ultra-conservative newspaper El Patriota, the naturalized German immigrant explains that he arrived in the country in 1945 with a passport identifying him Hermann Gunter Berg. He claims that his passport was a fake one produced by the Gestapo near the end of the war and that he's actually the former Nazi leader, Adolf Hitler. He says he's decided to come out of hiding after the Israeli secret services officially abandoned their policy of pursuing former Nazi war criminals last year. "I've been blamed for a lot of crimes that I've never committed. Because of that, I've had to spend more than half of my life hiding from Jews, so I've had my punishment already." The elderly man claims he's preparing to publish his autobiography in order to restore his public image. "I've been depicted as a bad guy only because we lost the war. When people read my side of the story, it will change the way they perceive me." He says his book will be written under the name Adolf Hitler and should be available in September. Many people, including his wife of 55 years, Angela Martinez, believe that Hermann Gunter Berg isn't really Adolf Hitler, but is simply suffering from dementia. MS. Martinez claims her husband never spoke about Hitler until approximately 2 years ago when he began showing signs of Alzheimer's disease. "Sometimes, he would forget who I was and where he was. He looked like he was in trance, and he would start talking about Jews and demons. Then he'd come back to normal." She believes her husband may possibly have been a Nazi and that he may feel guilty about his past, but she's convinced he's not Hitler. Even if the elderly man's claims seem rather questionable, they have sparked an animated debate in Israel and in the American Jewish community concerning the future of surviving Nazi war criminals. Mossad had proved its ambition and global reach in the past with the capture of Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann in 1960 in Argentina, but it has abandoned this mission over recent years. The Wiesenthal Center, which is still trying to find and prosecute Nazi criminals, has publicly criticized Israel in March, saying the Jewish state was barely cooperating to its mission. More than 70 years after the end of World War II, few states and institutions are still trying to find and prosecute the surviving Nazis, and most of them will certainly die without ever being punished for their crimes.